What if I told you that the silent killer of your manhood isn't a massive betrayal, but a slow verbal venom that's paralyzing your mind right now? Most men are completely blind to the fact that a woman's words aren't just sounds, they are surgical strikes testing the boundaries of your self-respect. And if you don't recognize the 5 fatal phrases she uses to disarm your authority, you are actively participating in your own destruction. Before we unmask these psychological traps, subscribe to Emperors of the Shadow right now and turn on notifications. If you are ready to reclaim your throne, this is where your weakness dies. You see, relationships don't explode in a single moment. They erode from the inside out, word by word, concession by concession, until you wake up trapped in a dynamic where you are constantly apologizing for simply existing. Let me ask you a brutal question. Are you actually choosing the women in your life, or are you allowing raw physical attraction to blind you to a slow-burning psychological warfare? One wrong relationship will cost you your sanity, your net worth, and your future. So if you want to stop wasting years of your life bleeding out for approval, listen closely to what comes next. Why are so many modern men feeling isolated, weak, and trapped in their own homes? They endure the unbearable, only to find themselves treated like an afterthought, and it's because they fundamentally misunderstand the dark psychology of respect and desire. Let's strip away the modern lies. A high-value woman is biologically incapable of respecting a hesitant, fearful man who refuses to draw a line in the sand. Yet millions of men fall into the compliance trap, believing that if they give more, sacrifice their boundaries, and suppress their own ambitions, they will be rewarded with loyalty. That is a catastrophic delusion. It is voluntary emotional slavery. What happens to a man who lacks a backbone? When you let her volatile moods and emotional demands dictate the entire environment of your life, you aren't showing love, you are showing her exactly how much disrespect you are willing to swallow. How many of you are terrified of standing your ground because you think conflict means losing her? But what exactly are you holding on to if the cost of keeping her is destroying yourself?
Look at reality. Women do not fall in love with servants. Now contrast that with the man who commands absolute respect, without shouting, without arrogance, but through an undeniable aura of dangerous certainty. When an emperor of the shadow walks into a room, he doesn't chase attention, he doesn't beg for validation, and he never bends his core values for temporary affection. He is irresistible because he is rare. He possesses the raw courage to enforce his standards, and he is never afraid to walk away. Love requires compromise, yes, but compromise is a two-way street. It is never the erasure of your identity to comfort someone who refuses to meet you halfway. If you want to be loved, become a man worth respecting, which means building an undisciplined, unbreakable empire within yourself. The exact moment you accept less than you deserve is the exact moment you signal to the entire world that you are weak. Are you actually paying attention to the warning signs, or are you like the millions of men who ignore the smoke until the entire house burns down? Let me give you a truth that most men learn when it's already too late. The moment a woman realizes she can disrespect you with her words without facing consequences, the relationship is dead. She might stay, but she is already looking for your replacement. If she insults your intelligence or mocks your ambition once, it's a red flag. Twice, it's a pattern. 3 times, it is an explicit declaration of war against your dignity. If you tolerate it, the abuse will scale up because people will treat you exactly how you allow them to. Do not think for a fraction of a second that toxic love will save you. Love without respect is nothing more than sophisticated emotional manipulation. So what do you do when a woman starts chipping away at your confidence? You walk away. You don't argue. You don't scream. You don't negotiate. You leave. Because if she cannot respect you, she is neurologically incapable of loving you. When you stay with a woman who looks down on you, you lose her respect and your own self-worth simultaneously. A man of power would rather stand completely alone in his dignity than sit on a throne of compromise, begging for crumbs of validation. This isn't about control or tyranny.
It's about setting an unshakable standard for your existence.
When someone speaks to you with contempt, whether through sarcastic jokes, passive-aggressive remarks, or blatant dismissals, they are checking to see if your boundaries are real or just a bluff. Once she knows they are a bluff, the relationship moves in only one direction: downhill. When a woman shows you her true nature through her words, believe her the first time. Stop making excuses for her mood swings, stop apologizing for things you didn't do, and stop thinking that if you just love her a little harder, she will suddenly change. The only thing that will change is you. You will become a shell of the man you used to be. Imagine wasting years of your life trying to win the approval of someone who secretly despises your weakness. It looks like subtle jabs, like "you never do anything right," or "I don't even know why I'm with you." Most men make the fatal mistake of trying to talk her out of her bad attitude, but respect is never negotiated. It is demonstrated through your absence. The second you try to logically convince a woman why she should value you, you have already lost. You become defensive, insecure, and diminished. Flip the script completely. Your silence and your exit speak louder than 1,000 arguments. By walking away, you prove that your value is non-negotiable. High-value individuals are drawn to the rare magnetism of a man who genuinely respects his own time and energy. Think about the phrase, "If you really loved me, you would do this." It is a psychological trap disguised as romance. It is weaponized guilt designed to test your obedience. How many men are caught in this trap right now? It starts small. Give up your hobbies, stop seeing your friends, work later to buy her things, and suddenly you have erased everything that made you a dangerous, attractive, independent man in the first place. When you submit to her emotional whims, her attraction to you dies instantly, because a woman cannot desire a man she can manipulate. Let's look at the deeper psychological machinery. The moment you allow someone to dictate your behavior under the guise of affection, you have handed them the keys to your psychological empire. The great men of history, the visionaries who built nations and shattered empires, were not paralyzed by whether their partners approved of their mission. They were entirely consumed by their purpose. When a man loses his purpose, he loses his edge, his ambition, and his identity. If she demands your submission, refuse to play the game. Show her through your actions that your devotion cannot be bought with compliance. What about the woman who says,
"I'm just looking for fun. I don't want anything serious"? If you are a serious man focused on building a legacy, that phrase should sound like an air raid siren. A relationship built purely on superficial pleasure will disintegrate the second real life hits. Fun doesn't sustain you when your business fails, when you lose a parent, or when you are fighting your own inner demons. The person who only values entertainment will vanish the moment you are no longer entertaining. If you tie your destiny to a tourist in your life, you will find yourself completely abandoned when the storm arrives. What does it say about you if you accept being a temporary distraction for a woman who has zero vision for the future? It means you are selling yourself cheap. If you are on the path of absolute mastery and discipline, you cannot afford to waste your currency on people who treat you like an option. Step away from anyone who refuses to see your worth. Do not try to convince her. Do not lower your standards hoping she will change her mind. A king does not beg for a queen. He builds his kingdom, and those who belong there will meet his standard. By walking away from women who only want to consume your energy, you send a shockwave through your own subconscious that says, "I am a man of vision, and I am far too expensive to be treated as cheap entertainment." We have reached the end of this brutal reality check. If you have made it this far, you are the rare type of man who demands depth, truth, and real power over comfortable lies. If you are ready to seal this pact with your own future, type "I command respect and protect my empire" in the comments below. Let it stand as a public testament that you will never again accept less than you are worth. Smash the like button, subscribe to Emperors of the Shadow, and master your darkness before it masters you. Until next time, remember, a relationship that minimizes you is not love, and those who cannot respect you have no place in your future. Stay lethal.